Hi, I'm Quinn, and I'm autistic. This is an unusual video for me. I don't normally do things live and off the cuff, but today's a bit different to most days. I'm in a place called Cobalt Imaging. I brought my wife here for an MRI scan. It's about an hour away from home. My mother-in-law's sat next to me as well. We're here to provide emotional support. I like to talk about anxiety. Anxiety is something we talk about a great deal. I often get asked how to deal with it, how to minimize it, how to cope with it better. As autistic people, we deal with anxiety on a daily basis, far more than a lot of people realize. It's not something that's unique to us, but it's certainly something we deal with, maybe more than we should do. My wife is obviously more anxious than I. She's the one facing the diagnosis. We don't know what it will be, but we know where it will take us. I'm anxious, of course, because I don't like seeing somebody I care about suffer. Same goes with my mother-in-law here. The reason I want to talk about it today, though, is that whilst my anxiety load is massive at the moment, I am able to cope with it. And I just wanted to share tricks isn't the right word, techniques even, just how I deal with it. A huge element of that is keeping my eye on the prize. I know it's a cliche, but just focusing on what we're aiming for is important. Whilst the diagnosis that we get might not be something we want to hear, it's better than not knowing. It's better than her struggling, suffering, and having no end in sight, having no hope. But that diagnosis, whilst it might not be good news in its own right, and we'd certainly be better off not having it at all, at least it will lead to treatment options, ways of improving her quality of life. And that obviously has benefits for me. Admittedly, it's very autistic of me to actually admit that I get something out of it as well. I get benefits as well as she does from it, and weighing up all the pros and cons left, right and centre until they're all worn out. But that's the way we do things. But the long-term gain, that's what I'm focused on. It's that we'll know what's going on. Our life will be better for having that knowledge and the treatment and the plans to be able to actually focus on where we go from here. Because without it, it's just going to get worse. There's something else, though, that for me is very, very important. And that's the fact that, in some respects, can almost regard anxiety as being a gift. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I suffer with it as bad as anybody else. I bite my nails. I've self-medicated in the past, as well as being legitimately medicated. I've had sleepless nights like you wouldn't believe. Migraines, another common reaction to stress and anxiety, something I get all the time. Stomach problems, God, the list is endless. But in a way, I'm lucky to be able to suffer anxiety in the first place. Because the only reason we suffer anxiety is because we're afraid of losing something. And if we're afraid of losing it, it's something worth having. My wife is certainly worth having. She makes a huge difference to my life in many ways. And because of that, I value her intensely. And that's why I'm anxious. I'm afraid of what it means. Without her, I'm lost in many ways. So, I'm anxious. But the anxiety is a symptom of love. It's a symptom of need, of wanting somebody. It's a symptom of knowing that that is something important in my life and that without it, I would be lesser. That's what anxiety is. It's horrible, but it's a signal that we've got something that's good, or something that's worth looking forward to, something that's worth hanging on to. So, for as crappy as I feel sometimes, as much as the anxiety piles on me, as much as I suffer the same symptoms as all of us do, that combination of eyes on the prize and just valuing what it is that I'm anxious about losing in the first place helps keep me on the right side of struggling. Just being able to cope, not being able to cope. I don't know if that helps anybody else, but it helps me. With any luck, she'll be in there having her MRI now, and she'll be out soon, and I'll know one way or another. But for now, I'm Quinn, and thank you for watching. Hi. Sorry if the audio sounded a little bit clipped on that. There was a lot of background noise and a radio playing copyrighted music in the background, so I had to be a bit aggressive with the audio filters. I recorded that piece a couple of days ago, and I had a few rough days following. This is an anxious time for us on lots of levels, and it didn't help that I was recording in a room full of strangers, noises, smells, and overhead lighting. This was a snapshot in time, a moment and nothing more. But I learn a lot from moments like that, and not only when I'm directly involved. I learn from the stories viewers and friends tell me, and even from the stories I read, listen to, and watch in literature and in movies. Actually, when I first watched it back in the edit, I found that song from Life of Brian going through my head. Always look on the bright side of life. If you watched the video I did a couple of weeks ago, The Good, the Bad and the Autistic, then you'll know what I was talking about earlier. What you just watched was me dealing with an ongoing good-bad news situation. We're contemplating some bad news on the face of it. There's only a few possible diagnoses for my wife's symptoms and results so far, and none of them are benign, take it in your stride affairs. There's going to be some big changes necessary in the near future. No, actually, there will be a few more big changes because some of them we're already doing. Others will have to wait until we know for sure what's going on. But knowing what changes we need, what new approaches, what tools or gadgets might help, what preventatives and therapies apply, and what possible futures may lie ahead gives us back a little of the agency that we've lost by her being ill in the first place. That is the nugget of good news inside the stinky swamp of bad luck we've landed in. A ray of hope to help us keep our eyes focused forward. Eyes on the prize. This is one of those times of life where we're in more than one swamp at the same time, too. I'm still working really hard to build this channel, which means a lot of behind-the-scenes work, much of which isn't easy for me. I have my own health issues and, of course, my wife's impending diagnosis. In a couple of days, someone else very close to me is having a big operation, so between supporting them, my own health and my wife's diagnostic process, I'll be spending a lot of time at the hospital over the coming weeks. Of course, not everything that makes us anxious is as big a deal as what I've been talking about, I guess. But that's another tool that helps me keep a lid on it, to keep the anxiety beast caged. I'm autistic, and that means I'm no stranger to worry. Anxiety has been my constant companion since I was in short trousers, and because of that, I've got a lot of past nasties to compare any new ones to. On top of that, throughout my adult life, and especially the last few years, I've been gathering stories from other neurodivergent folks, and some of the struggles I've been told of really do put some of mine into perspective. Even all this. Whenever crap comes my way, I so often already know of someone who faced something similar and survived to tell the tale. And sometimes the crap they faced was even crappier than the crap I'm dealing with at the time. Even when we don't win the day, we still leave breadcrumbs for others to follow, which may give them the edge to succeed where we failed. One of the reasons I suffer such acute anxiety at a time like this is that my wife is part of my anxiety coping mechanism. So when she's struggling herself, I need to try harder. That's not a cue for someone to start wagging their finger at me for being codependent upon my other half. If you're not in some way emotionally dependent upon your partner after the years and experiences you've faced at each other's sides, then at least one of you is doing something substantially wrong. One of the greatest and rarest of liberties we can enjoy in this world is the freedom to be our natural selves, free of airs and graces and social expectations. And if that's what you get from your partner, your best friend, or your family, then good for you, and long may it last. Some of us gain that freedom by spending most or all of our time alone, whether by choice or by circumstance, but it comes at a cost. For all that we're not beholden to others, we're on our own when the you-know-what hits the fan. The mental finagling that helps me get through times like this might not work as well when you're relying on yourself alone. Which is one of the reasons I'd like to start something new for my viewers. I've been approached a number of times about founding some sort of online autistic community for viewers and patrons. I'm looking into how I might do that now, but maybe you can help me get it off the ground. If you've done anything like that before and can give me some pointers, then please get in touch. And I'll need moderators too. So if you're in a position to help me keep things civil and to make it a warm, accepting place where people can feel safe, again, I'd love to hear from you. There's an email address in the About tab on YouTube, and I'll put it on screen right now. There's some very nasty folks out there making social media a toxic dump of late, and a few of them find their way into my YouTube comments. I weed some of them out, but plenty of others I either miss or I choose to leave so they'll have something to cringe about in a few years when they stumble across those comments and remember the a-hole they used to be. I mean, they may be an even bigger a-hole by then, but you can hope, can't you? If you're not in a position to help out directly, I still need to know exactly what you guys might want from an autistic, can't even say my own channel name. If you're not in a position to help out directly, I still need to know exactly what you guys might want from an autistic forum or server, so please let rip in the comments. Whether it's a novel idea or just a pitfall you think I ought to watch out for, then please let me know. I've also just put in the application for a PO box, which will go live next week, so I'll be able to receive things from you guys in future. Some of you have asked me over and over again to give out an address to send things to, and I keep kicking the can down the road. Until now. Thank you, Executive Function, for cooperating for once. I'll let you know the address once it's finalised next week. I know this video isn't my normal kind of fare, but thanks for bearing with me till the end. Next week should be back to something more familiar. I'm Quinn, and I'm autistic. Thank you for watching. If you've already liked and subscribed and would like to support the channel more, then please follow the Patreon links in the description to pledge what you feel is fair and affordable to help keep the lights on here and the content keep flowing.